Hello and welcome to Your Thoughts Podcast. My name is Tyler Beck. I have Joshua Lisciarelli and Ryan, no last name,
co-hosting today. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So, but here we are here to talk to Josh. So, Josh.
Hello. It has been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. I should probably not have my phone here. We may want to do that again.
We'll just start getting like radio waves coming in.
Oh, yeah. I got to watch out for that 5G, am I right?
So, back to your tinfoil hat. So, how have you been, man? It's probably been almost 2 years.
I think that's about a little over 2 years. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? I think it was 2018. 2018 of March. I think that's when it ended up.
Actually, 2019.
2019, really?
Time flies nowadays.
Wow.
That's what it seems like.
Nowadays.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's been a good minute. It's good to see you. Good to be back. Good to be back.
So how's Veripax doing?
It's going good. It is going good. Yes. Things are crazy. And in the time I've had over the few years, and a lot's changed. I would like to think that I've grown to some degree. I'm sorry, I can't focus.
There's an ice cream truck outside. I've been trying really hard this whole time not to yell
I was about to
ice
make
cream.
some big emotional beat, and then we got,
We're going to pick that up probably.
I really hope so. I lost my mother last year, and
Real serious topic.
Yeah.
Ice cream truck.
Organ sting, but it's just ice.
Yeah.
Ice cream truck.
No, I'd like to think I've grown in the few years, since we last talked. And
You've certainly grown facial hair.
Yeah, that's true. I got the thing. I got this. It's a thing now. Yeah, I was really lucky when COVID happened because I got to wear a mask over that weird intermediate phase.
So just cover up the patch until
the weird, everybody gets that weird patchy kind of pubescent peach fuzz kind of, real good stuff. So, but it's, a lot's gone on, and I'm more aware of my ignorance now than I was, and I guess I realized that things.
Ignorance on what? Just like in life in general?
In what we are.
Let's give like context.
Yeah, I'm trying to find.
In 2019, you were 18?
Yeah, so in 2018, I was 18. I was born on 2000, so when I'm old and senile, I will always remember my age.
I thought you were older. You look
See, that's what's great about the beard is I look so much older, and it balances out my, constant talk of Star Wars and listening to Mario Kart music all day. It's really nice.
So you're 19 now?
20.
Okay.
So next year.
It is
So
2020.
you can't even drink.
No, but as soon as I turn 21, I'm going
Legally.
to rent a car.
Right?
I'm going to rent a car. I'm not going to go get a drink. I'm going to rent a car because I can do that now.
Don't you have to be 25?
It's more expensive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 25 is when it drops significantly.
Oh, stink.
Yeah, so.
It may
thanks.
not
be worth it. I destroyed your dreams. My job here
There
is
we
done.
go. Yeah.
We're 25. You're 25, right?
Yeah, I'll be 26 in January.
Oh, snap. Wow.
I'll be 26 in March.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, very mature. I respect
That's
I don't
generous.
know about that.
We haven't made a dick joke yet, have we?
Oh, jeez.
There's always time.
What is this, like the 2-minute mark?
Yeah.
Already into it? Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
pretty close. About 5 minutes.
I think it's at this point in life that one really begins to search in who they are and begin to find their perspective and on things, on life, not just morality and, should I go get some fast food or should I make, food at home, but who we are, where does everything come from, and how does that affect how we do what we do. And, and it's not the big decisions, like, should I break up with this person? Should I propose marriage? My grandmother's about to die. I would say it's probably all the little decisions in life that really builds your character. And in those 2 years since we've last spoke, I've kind of begun to realize that.
So this is basically, I think that was part of your topic, is that kind of like your journey and
the journey. Yeah. So I should make it apparent I'm a very proud Christian, and that's a kind of a controversial thing to say nowadays.
Is it?
Yeah, I would say so, because there's a lot of maybe amnesty and kind of maybe spite or confusion towards
Animosity.
religion. And there we
Yeah.
go. Thank you. Animosity.
I got what he meant.
Words
Yeah, I
words
did
are
too.
hard.
I got what he meant.
Language.
Ignorance. There
Let
we
the
go.
guy talk, Tyler.
No, you're fine. You're
Just wanted to
fine.
clarify.
Yes. No, please do that if I make another oopsie doopsie again.
Okay, it's just oopsie, not oopsie doopsie.
Oh, okay. All right. I see how it is. No.
Yeah, you crossed the threshold. You're not 5 anymore. We can't say doopsie. Sorry.
What? But I. Well, I've got all these fun little stupid,
Idioms?
I would call them Christian cuss words, like
Christian cuss
Holy
words.
Mary Mother of Joseph, or flippity dippity do is probably my favorite one, because I have a lot of time to put emphasis on those syllables after I've stubbed my toe or done something
All right, so
stupid.
serious question then. Do you not cuss?
I make it a very deliberate habit not to.
Okay. Okay.
I know everyone else around me does, and I'm just like, it is what it is, and I don't mind it. I don't do it, and I
Right.
don't mind it. I think it's just part of how I was raised. And
Part of the
everything.
whole thing about religious people that I think generally non-religious people dislike is their intention to suppress other people from doing things they don't like. So I have a lot of respect for you for accepting other people around you. That, like, I really love your
thank you.
family for that.
Thank you. That's That's very
They were just
generous
they
of
were
you.
okay with everything. Like they wanted to understand, and that's very commendable.
I think there's a line there. I think if I saw somebody doing something that was, I knew was hurting them,
Wrong. Yeah.
not wrong in the sense, because that's a whole morality thing that I would like to touch on later, but
Wrong is
more in that
subjective.
they're hurting themselves, or they're going to do something that will cause them some kind of scar, whether emotional, physical, whatever. And I always liked that about my parents, is they came with open arms no matter where you were. And that's where I kind of, over the years, how I kind of saw Veripax was more of a hospital for a lot of these people. I out of respect for everybody who is working there, has worked there, I won't mention any names.
Yeah, of course.
But you know who I talk about when I say it was difficult for a lot of people. They were coming in with difficulties and troubles and,
like
habits.
family issues, drug addiction. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was more, I think my parents were of the mindset, like, we know there's stuff going on in your life and we're not going to hold it against you. And so we're going to do our best to keep an open mind and love and respect you.
We can help provide stability, and also you can help us.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a business too. So if they were doing something that was causing them, they would put their foot down, obviously, but it was more of a very respectful mindset. And I personally think that that's a less and less common thing, not just, among, the workplace, but in, a religious aspect across the nation, is lack of intolerance for people with different viewpoints. And that's why I always very much appreciated and valued our friendship and relationship, is that no matter what viewpoint you had, I always loved hearing it, being able to talk about it and hear your perspective and share mine and just understand it. And I've got my own family members who do not have that mindset, and they've chewed out my family members in very public settings and have caused many serious scars. So seeing that, in another person is important to me, and
Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
more people should have that, quite frankly. But
Yeah, having the conversation with people with differing opinions is very important. One thing I often like to talk to people about is that we agree on more than you think. And that's I've seen that every single time. We just may have different methods to get to our conclusion.
mm-hmm.
There's the human element, always the human element.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That has to come first.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. That's why I always love this podcast. Is it didn't matter where they came from. It's you were interested in seeing their perspective.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts.
He said the
drop.
thing. He said the thing. Oh,
So let's settle the debate once and for all.
mm-hmm.
So when it comes to Neapolitan ice cream, do you scrape across or do you individual scoops?
Oh man,
oh man. Oh snap.
that is a life-altering decision.
Yeah, that's like eating the Kit Kat horizontally. It's just one big bite down the middle.
Never thought of doing that.
No, you shouldn't. So I guess my answer to that would be yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Abstain.
Abstain. There you go. I don't want to catch any heat for my answer right now.
You won't have
scoop individually.
It's ice cream, so it'll be a cold shoulder.
Oh,
kind of
very
thing.
funny. Yes, we temperature jokes. The pinnacle of comedy, I see.
Yeah. So I think it's
no,
important.
No, you're good.
So I think it depends on the circumstance. Like maybe today I'm feeling strawberry and then vanilla and then chocolate, but like sometimes all three, like that flavor jam, man, like all together.
Oh yeah.
But
In and out
it
all
really
day.
depends on my
Neapolitan shake.
mood.
Neapolitan shake all day, in and out.
Oh yeah, if
A
I'm
shake.
getting it from In-N-Out, it doesn't matter how they scoop it. I will enjoy it.
I recently found out you can do that. 'Cause
You
I-
did
I
really?
Heard, I heard somebody else order it, and I was like,
Yeah, dude.
"What?
Yeah. The secret menu.
You didn't know about the secret menu?
You gotta
I
check it
did
out,
know
man.
about like the animal fries, the animal style kind of stuff, but
Yeah, Neapolitan. You
What
can get-
about the Flying Dutchman?
Oh yeah.
Okay, the Flying Dutchman is literally just a patty and cheese.
Yeah.
It's
It's just something ridiculous.
I've seen people order it and I don't understand it.
like
but
with a lettuce bun.
no,
kind of
it's
thing?
just
No, that's
straight up a
protein
patty
style.
and cheese.
Okay.
That's protein style.
My
Yeah.
stepmom has gotten that before.
Yeah, no proteins, and then you also get something like a 30 by 30, which is 30 cheeses and 30 patties.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I wanted to do that for my
You
birthday.
can't. They won't let you order it anymore.
You
I think you can.
really?
You can go get up to like a 4x4.
You probably have to order it in like in advance because that's a lot to cook.
They're already.
I love our segue from morality to how many patties.
I
and
had to
cheese
throw.
can
I
you
had to
get at
throw a
In-N-Out?
wrench in there. I had to do it. I wanted to build the suspense, and
Oh, of course, of course.
So I think it's important to outline. I think. Tyler, would you agree that this is the first time you've had a guest that said like, "Yeah, I'm Christian. And this is what I want to talk about on the podcast"? Was that safe to say?
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah. So I
That's
Usually when we've had religious discussions, it's been primarily you.
Yeah, it's
and
more-
it's except like the first episode, Jesse and I went on like
the tangents and
it was
talked
it was
into
about existence and
Yeah,
in
spirituality,
general.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
But it's mostly been like about spirituality, touching on various religions from more of like an agnostic atheist perspective.
Right.
So never explicitly Christian.
Yeah, and
we haven't
that's-
had that perspective on.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Well,
this
I'm
would
flattered.
be this is the dynamic that. So it's important to outline. I myself am an outspoken atheist. Tyler, I know you're more comfortable with agnostic.
I just like I'm very spiritual and I like hearing about religion, but I don't have beliefs. So there's like that distinction, and that's why I'm comfortable with the term agnostic because it kind of dips into both.
Okay.
It's interesting you say that because, and just I want to preface this. I don't know if we did it before. No matter what is discussed here, I both value and respect
Oh, yeah,
your
no.
opinions, and this is I
here
love
to,
the talk.
We're not here to have a yelly, screamy
No,
fight.
no, of course, of course.
We're not here to do that at all.
I mean, we could do that.
we could. Follow us on Patreon.
We haven't done that.
We'll yell at each other for $15 an hour.
Vote on what you want to
It's
cut
a
each other's
full-time
throats.
job.
There you go.
It's because of the emotional stress, guys.
Sometimes you need a release. No, this
Could
is
we be any more millennial right now?
millennial, millennial.
Millennial.
Thank you.
Sorry, you've allowed me to become a pedant, so I'm going to be a pedant.
No, but
Pedant.
what you said about agnostic, spirituality without any beliefs, in my mind, that's kind of like, a two-in-one shampoo. It claims to do both things, but it really does neither. It's like watering
No,
down.
what it claims to do is state, I don't know, and I'm willing to listen.
Yeah, because Gnosticism.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the biggest thing. There's an important distinction there because I know a lot of people who are into very much just straight up meditation and the spiritual mindset, but I don't want to hear anything else you have to say. This is who I am, and that's it.
That's kind of my tropes. Meditation, psychedelics, nature, and those things coincide with both,
Yeah.
and neither.
I mean, to be fair, when it comes to between us, is that I definitely take more hardline worldview of evidence-based rationality and everything
Which
like
I
that.
agree with.
Yeah.
But there's plenty that science doesn't understand yet.
Right, yeah.
I think it's great you touched on that because that's really where I've come to right now. Is when we last spoke, I was it was we had that really fun riding the truck, and
Oh,
just
yeah.
about everything that could go wrong with the truck did go wrong.
I'm pretty sure somebody hit us.
No, I mounted the curb, and I was too embarrassed to admit it.
The truth
But
comes
I thought
out
there was
now.
like another lane on the right side.
Yeah, I think somebody did come really close to tailing us or something
when
like
we
that.
when we pulled over to check if somebody hit us because we saw damage
Yeah, that
on the
was
side.
me mounting the curb really hard. And I didn't want, because we were talking about God and everything. I didn't want to be like, oops, I just made a big oopsie.
There you go,
Oopsie.
thank you.
And big oopsie. There we go. I'm listening. I am listening.
Learn it quick.
No, but I was playing D&D and all these other things.
While you were
which
driving?
While I was driving, yes, I am a multitasking pro. That's
impressive.
No, after you had left,
You must have hit a critical 1 to hit the curb.
I wish I had rolled the 20, but I didn't.
Nerd jokes.
Yeah, nerd jokes.
Ian's gonna love the reference of D&D. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Ian.
No, you'll have to forgive me. I've got a special mind in that there is so much swimming around in my head that
absolutely.
sometimes
Yeah.
it comes out and I don't have any context for it. Even though it
You
goes
actually
on.
do seem a lot more mellow.
Oh, really? Whoa. Well, that is a good thing, too. I've chosen to be a lot more thoughtful about my world around me rather than, blissful ignorance. It depends on who I'm with, though, because sometimes it's really fun to let the guard down and just be stupid and just make dumb
Zany
jokes.
and wacky.
Oh, boy. Zooey mama. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. That kind of stupidity. But I've chosen to think, and being real here, when I had been very interested in this one girl for many months, and it was one of those weird kind of high school things, and like a Christian high school things. We're not allowed to date, but we're
Right.
allowed to be around each other and be with their parents, and there was no alone time, and so it was a really weird situation, and their parents were incredibly manipulative and controlling, and I won't go into the details, but I got my heart broken, and I went on a journey to figure out really what's going on, who I am, and primarily identity. And kind of realizing that people are wired to invest themselves in something, whether it be business and, or politics, spirituality, or, a franchise or whatever it may be. People are wired to kind of idolize and place their identity in something.
Okay.
So when it comes to me in that situation, I kind of realized that I had placed all of my identity in this one person. So whenever anything good was happening, I was as high and happy as I could be. I was on top of the world. And when any little bump happened, I was in the gutter. I was terrible. And
You were attached.
I was that's where I placed who I was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so I would invest everything in there, and it was so unbelievably unhealthy. Everything revolved around, reading texts and getting face to face and who are they talking to, and when that ended, it very much broke me because that's who I was, and that ended.
Then you got to figure out who you are after.
Exactly. So it was in that journey that I leaned on my Christianity and, how I was raised and my, biblical teaching, if you will. But I was at a point where I'm like, yeah, I know these things, but none of it really has touched me. They don't impact me. They're just, from my perspective, they're just rules and guidelines, and it feels like everybody who believes them is just sticking their heads in the sand. I don't get it. Like, what the heck is up with this? And so I took my own journey of researching this, going and listening to as many preachers or different perspectives, but primarily one doctor in particular, Dr. Timothy Keller.
Different churches or practices,
So-
or still all?
That was one question I had is like,
Yeah.
so when it comes to, because there's
Of course.
denominations,
Right.
of Christianity, are you
Mm-hmm.
non-denominational? Is it a common description?
That's why,
Okay.
that's a really good
So-
question. And that's where I'm still somewhat searching. Is I was
Okay.
raised in non-denominational and a bit of reformed. So
So-
the people who don't know what that is,
Certainly more Protestant than Catholic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
It's strictly what the Bible says. I'll give you a brief overview from a Christian.
Like a more literal kind of perspective.
Not so much that their mindset is, you're a sinner, you were born this way, which means, you do things that hurt God because he has set these rules, and you do these things that are inherently selfish or bad. And I'll touch on that later. But
Okay.
and the only way we can be saved is through believing in Jesus. That's the really, I would say, what the watered down kind of gospel preaching is nowadays.
Can I ask you a very deep question?
Go for it.
What does that mean to you?
To me,
The last part, believing in Jesus. Like his existence, or like a deeper thing than that?
do you mind if I answer that in a minute?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm building up to where I'm.
Fucking working on it, Tyler.
I'm working. I'm going.
Still
I know.
got like 40 minutes.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, I'll hurry it up then.
Oh, no. Take your time.
But I wanted to question. I wanted to understand, and I had been, I tried to surround myself by older men who had been more experienced and experienced these things, and asking questions, and I'm praying, just trying to read that book and figure out what it is, what's going on in here. Why is there an entire book about, this person was 90 years old and then he birthed to this, and the whole book of Numbers is literally just this person lived this old, and then they had these kids and they lived this old, and then
Methuselah, 969 years old.
yeah. None of it made sense. It's ye old text. What the heck is up with this? But it hit me that I can't remember what the one person said, but I was playing a video game, and I was listening to a podcast by Dr. Timothy Keller. He used to preach at First Presbyterian Church in New York. So he's a thinker. He's a real thinker, and I loved the way he approached things biblically. It wasn't just, God is good and sing praises and the kind of what you would get at most churches, or what the kind of the populace perceives church as.
Yeah, that's how mine was.
It's let's actually take a look at what's going on here. And he said, if Christianity is not merely following a set of customs and rules and regulations because you have to, and if you don't, you're not going to get saved, or because your parents have told you to do these things. It's about a relationship with a living God, Jesus, and a real Christian who is saved will have a life-altering change when they come to that realization. You can go through the motions, you can go through the works, you can follow all of these things, but it's not until, by God's grace and his revelation that you understand these things. And so I had come to the conclusion that I had only had an intellectual understanding. So I was only following these things because I was taught to, because I understood, that's how that works, or I should do this because it's the right thing to do. I was going through the motions, and I didn't understand why. And when I understood that, I wanted to figure out what that meant and understand what God is, and what are the difference between the denominations? Why did God do this? Why does he want me? All of these questions that I'm sure any Christian nowadays will ask at one point in their life.
Hopefully.
So so I just want to kind of nail it in a little bit deeper here. So like I said, there is the main sects of Christianity. The biggest difference is, are you Reformed after 1507 with Martin Luther, or so Protestant versus Catholic, but they also have Eastern Orthodoxy, which is another separate thing. But I think a better separator would be saved through faith alone, or saved through faith and good works.
That is a really great distinction. Really
that
great
narrows
foresight.
it down.
It does.
A lot
It does.
more.
And I don't think a lot of, Christians nowadays even know.
Can you
that.
clarify what that means?
So within the Bible and teaching with Jesus Christ, you either have certain sects that believe that you are saved through faith alone. So just believing in Christ, following his commandments and everything like that. And then you have faith and good works. So a lot of charitable services, serving your community,
Doing the right
serving
thing.
God. That is a huge thing.
Or like a collectivist kind of perspective?
Yes. Yeah. Because you can get two Christians in the same room and say, okay, do you guys both agree on this? And they will say no.
Yep.
They will say, no, we do not.
Yeah. And there's a lot of division in the church on some of those hot topics, unfortunately.
So that's where I kind of want to narrow down.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'd be happy to answer that. I'm Protestant. I'm not on the
Catholicism, yeah.
Catholicism side. I'm
And then
very
Ethan
strong in the belief
I'm
that
Irish
is-
Catholic, so I don't want to hear your perspective. Straight from New York.
Oh, there you go.
Tyler puts on a balaclava. He's in the IRA. He's like, now tell me, are you Protestant or Catholic?
Oh my god, that was incredible. That was such a great accent.
While holding a 9mm, you know.
Yeah, don't forget.
Pull out my knife.
Sorry,
my.
I'm getting into the troubles of the UK, and I'm just a history nerd, so I'm just riffing here.
It's probably New York Catholic gangs.
Oh my gosh.
That's a big thing. People will kill each other over being Protestant and Catholic. It's been a thing since Martin Luther in 1507.
People will kill her. Or word sandwich. People,
Word sandwich.
people will kill each other over any sort of identity.
Yes, I mean that is one thing. Is that if you feel like like you were saying
the
earlier,
evolution
this is
into
me,
tribalism.
and you're attacking me essentially. So that is a huge division point. But yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. And from my point of view, I have answers to why there's so many different denominations, and that ties into specifically the religious aspect of it. So to somebody who may not be outside of it and doesn't believe in the spiritual realm, that may sound like, what the heck? That's just kind of a far-fetched answer to get what you want.
Right. But for you personally, so faith alone or faith in good
it's
works?
faith alone.
Okay.
It's faith alone, and I'll expound upon that because
I disagree. Just like from my perspective, seeing you and your family, I don't think that's
No, he's gonna. There's a reason.
No.
There is a reason why, Tyler. So let him.
my perspective on the topic is flip flop back and forth and understand.
There's a reason why there's a huge problem
There's-
about this.
There's a huge it's a really deep theological divide
it is.
on because it
fascinating. I was unaware.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're good.
This is why it's nice to have the dueling perspective kind of.
100%, 100%.
But yeah, continue.
Yeah, so when I was it was in that journey that spanned about 6 months. About 6 months was me like buckling down. I'm like, I want to understand what this is. I believe
This was all this past year.
this was it was the end of ending, I believe, 2019 and then early 2020. So I remember specifically from October is when I remember having the revelation about, I haven't been saved. I just have an intellectual understanding to, oh goodness, I've already forgotten. I believe it was I think it was January 21st. I believe somewhere around that point. So it was from October, and then that journey lasted up until today, obviously. But it was in that journey I buckled down. I read the Bible. I would constantly pray. I would listen to different sermons and preachers from, like you were talking about, from, a Catholic perspective, from the Protestant, from Baptist, Lutheran, Presbyterian, non-denominational, and they're all different denominations that believe slight alterations.
Yeah, there's
on
difference. We've talked
the Bible.
previously before how the Catholic Bible has more books than the Protestant Bible. Protestant Bible has 66 books. Catholic, I think, is like 82.
Right, right.
And like the Book of Mormon has elements of the Christian Bible, right?
Yes, it does. Both Old and New Testaments. So,
I believe the Catholic Bible also has, aspects pulled from the Dead Sea Scrolls, if I'm not mistaken.
well, the Dead Sea Scrolls is essentially just the Old Testament. It's just the earliest physical document we have that is the Old Testament. It's the oldest existing artifact that we have, which... Oh boy, what's the timeline on that? I think it was like I don't know. I don't want to say anything.
No, you're good.
I didn't bring my computer to fact check this time.
See, but this is why I'm still on this journey.
Right.
I'm comfortable in not knowing all the aspects of my faith.
So I think there's an important question to bring up then is which version of the Bible do you own?
Oh, I own. And then there's different versions,
Right.
and then there's different translations.
If you want
Exactly.
to grab it, you can.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, no. So I've got an English Standard Translation, so it's the Protestant version translated by a handful of different preachers, and scholars. So,
Not the KJV.
What KJV?
KJV, King James Version.
Oh, okay.
That is the most popular
I heard
one.
KGB, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What's
That is what I thought you said too.
Yeah, all of a sudden
KGB?
Russians start
Russian
running in.
The Russian. Oh, geez.
Yeah. So,
Anyways,
because
yes.
the main distinction, I mean, the most popular here in the United States is the King James Version of the Bible.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. It has a lot of translation errors, but whatever.
I think it's in part because it can be used by all the denominations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
So, Protestant, Catholic,
Yeah.
Eastern, everybody can use that version somewhat
not the
comfortably.
Catholics, but yes.
Really?
Yeah, like I said,
Is this missing a couple books?
yes, it's missing the I can't speak that word. Deuterocanonical. There we go.
Dang,
Books.
Well, I wasn't aware of that because I have a good few friends that are Catholic that use.
Yeah, so King James
and
was written in the
ESV
time
and-
after the Protestant Reformation.
I was raised Catholic and I used the King James, I'm pretty sure.
You're missing books.
Yeah.
I
didn't
mean,
even
maybe
know.
there's an acceptable usage line, but it is missing the Deuterocanonical books from the King James version. But so you have the English Standard Version?
Yeah, English Standard Version, ESV for short. Yeah.
Right.
But it was so on this journey. I got this for Christmas because my parents kind of knew I was trying to understand it. I listened to podcasts, sermons, just anything I can get my hands on. I wanted to understand what was going on. That led me to a lot of questions about morality, identity, and a lot of things, and that people themselves are. I would say, from my perspective, they are wired religiously. They all have something that they worship inherently. Some people are more honest about what they worship. I think in India, some people have statues of their own favorite soccer players that they worship too, along with their other gods.
Yeah, that's an aspect within Hinduism.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say some people
Like
are a lot
your-
more.
There's a
honest.
reason why there's over 1 billion gods.
Humanistic idols kind of thing.
So, if I remember correctly, within Hinduism, a god can be created now. Like you can create a god. If I remember
interesting.
correctly. So don't quote me on that.
Gotta read the
I am not
Bhagavad
well read. I don't have my Bhagavad Gita. All right. So.
I have one. I haven't read it though.
Oh,
Yeah.
you do? You have the Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So one of the things that I came across was obviously identity, but kind of the essence of life, because I would say in the 21st century, it's very heavily taught that we are products of natural occurrences, evolution, specifically that we have been formed from the elements of the earth, and through millions of years of
Billions.
natural selection, we ended up becoming who we are, intelligent beings that are just the spawn of what is made around us. And I had an issue with that specifically, because if the world around me can only be explained by what is visible, then I don't think
But it's not.
I can trust.
Even in science.
Yeah, so visually...
I don't think I can trust my own mind, because from an evolutionary explanation, strictly scientific, everyone's got their own interpretation.
Right. But what do you mean by... Because the visual only is not the case.
Right. Visual, I'm talking, the atoms, the elements, the natural processes.
So basically
winds,
what
or
we can detect?
only what we
or-
can see, not in the literal sense, but see around us.
Well, like how
So-
far down are we going though? Because like neutrinos, you can detect them. You will never physically see a neutrino.
Yeah, so...
No, I'm sorry, but not directly in the literal sense. I'm talking,
Yeah.
what we see and can understand around us. And
Okay.
a weed grows because it is a weed. It's been designed to, engineered to over millions of years, and that's how it survives. That's why fish swim, and
Yeah, it's just an important
because-
distinction because we want to make sure what you mean by that.
right.
Before
Yeah, no,
continuing
of course.
Yeah.
So, but that just didn't click, because if I can only understand, if I can only explain the world around me based on what's in it, then how do I trust my own mind? Is it just a mere byproduct of evolution, and what I'm
okay.
supposed to think
Very
and feel?
important question.
Yeah, this is Boltzmann brains.
Yeah, if I'm supposed to,
What is that?
That's an argument. But
Okay.
go ahead.
yeah, if I'm only supposed to, I can't trust my mind if I don't know if it's just a byproduct of natural evolution, and so I'm only supposed to think because that's what keeps me alive.
Yes. And no, but yes.
And then that calls into question morality. If I feel like everybody has some kind of sense of right and wrong. It just depends on what your cultural lens you look through is. Americans may, in the Western world, we may say women have rights and they deserve rights. They should be treated as equals. And, over in the Middle East, and no, those are Western values.
I wish more Americans had that value.
But
I really wish more Americans viewed that way.
But
that's also like another aspect of cultural upbringing and
yeah,
it
values
is. It is, yeah.
And then there's some things that are universal. Genocide is bad. And murder is bad.
Unless you're on the team that wants to commit genocide.
So that's an interesting
argument.
That's an interesting.
And that's the thing is that kind of boils down every nasty thing just to evolution.
Are we rationalize it?
Hold on.
We can
What do you mean?
No, actually, that's a good point. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So
I mean, no, I'm for myself. I mean, this
is very controversial, but would you not agree that if the Germans wanted to maintain their lineage, that their approach was incorrect?
Sorry, can you say that again?
That's all.
If
we're
they
talking
wanted
like
to maintain their lineage, to
okay,
keep
so the whole
that population
the line,
exactly how
yeah.
they
Ubermach,
wanted it,
yeah,
to control the population,
mm-hmm.
was their approach incorrect? Morally, yes, obviously.
Yeah, but
that's my biggest issue.
But you can rationalize it.
Where do you grab that morality from? Because if we're just natural evolutionary processes, then morality shouldn't and doesn't exist. You can go home and hug your wife and feel, love. You think love is real, but from that perspective, it isn't. It is just an evolutionary
chemical reaction in your
chemical
brain
process. So how do you trust your own mindset and perspective on the things of this world if it's only a byproduct of what you were engineered to think?
I love where this is going.
So my question would be: is what's wrong with that? What's
Because
wrong
it
with
takes
the chemical reaction?
It would take what we would call the humanity out of things, and it creates lawlessness. By that position, you have no grounds to say that I should live this way or this is right and wrong, because you can't defend that yourself.
Because
I can't.
Chemical
I can go
influences
I can go steal whatever I want, but if somebody steals from me, you have no grounds to say that is wrong.
There's a different.
We got
kind
a couple different.
Yeah,
topics.
let's break down one thing at a
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, where do you want to start, Tyler?
Specifically, the chemical reaction aspects of relationships. I completely understand what you're saying with that. Like, if you didn't have that, then like you wouldn't be in a relationship, and that stuff can come and go too.
So you're talking about the physical chemical reactions within your own brain.
How much of it dictates your decisions in your life? Like, if you didn't have the oxytocin release when you saw Razi, do you think you would still stay in that relationship?
Okay.
Are the chemicals deciding it for you?
I mean, based on the brain scans and the biochemistry of it, then yes, yeah.
And then what makes that different from any animal?
We are animals.
Would find love in a partner.
We are animals, and animals have shown under brain scans to have empathy and have the same chemical reactions when we enter the room. I mean, we do brain scans on dogs, and we can see that the oxytocin or dopamine gets released when we walk into the room. That does show that they do, in fact, care.
Then what does that make us?
Animals with chemical reactions that influence our behavior.
Then
we can analyze it.
That seems
like we're
so
doing now.
impersonal to us, because I would feel like if
it's like
what more is there though? Like why is there the need to be something more?
We can actually go deeper if you'd like. We can go into like electrical currents in your brain that influence these chemical reactions.
I am not qualified to
that's
talk
all
about
that's
that.
to start happening.
A byproduct of genetics and.
But like when you delve into religion and science together,
But I would say that the issue I had still comes from that. How do I trust my own mind? Because so I can see, maybe the animals do this. I can do that, but I can't trust my mind to think freely of that.
After your spiritual journey through the past year, what is your conclusion at this time?
That if there wasn't a God, then I wouldn't be able to be thinking or having this question that so many people, I would say at our age, universally have at one point. no matter where you're from on the planet, everybody comes to that point where they're like, is there a God? Is there something else out there?
Mm-hmm.
And that question is what told me that there was something more, because that can't be a byproduct of evolution if no other creature can feel that. That's not something of evolution. If it were evolutionary, then we wouldn't have something like that. We would trust in what is around us. We wouldn't question what more there is. We would just continue to go about our lives and live and, have mates, find a relationship, have children, and
just perpetuate the evolutionary cycle.
Exactly.
So I think the main distinction,
the intelligence of searching specifically.
I mean, when it comes to the evolutionary aspect and biochemical aspects of that, I mean,
I don't think we're exclusive.
We only know because we are the ones able to communicate that.
Excluded. I don't think we're excluded from it either. I think it still influences our life very heavily.
So I'm just saying what he brings up is like there has to be something else. We're the only ones that are able to communicate. This is how we feel. This is how we do things. Dolphins are almost just as intelligent as us. Octopi are some of the most adaptable beings.
Elephants are really intelligent.
Yeah, they are as well. If we had a dolphin's brain inside a raccoon's body, they would be our equals.
And even the terminology of intelligence, it's a spectrum.
That's the difference, though, I would say, between animals and us, is the ability to think freely and question. You could be smart.
These animals are smart. They really aren't thinking freely, though.
So, I mean, how would you test that, though? Yeah. That would be the problem.
I think we have tested that.
What do you mean by think freely? Because how do you test it with something that can't communicate? How do you test that?
I believe think? If I were to reference an old clip I remember watching on YouTube, Vsauce, Michael Vsauce, he did a study on animals and intelligence, specifically with chimps, and there was now this is all second-hand, third-hand knowledge, so some of these facts may not be correct. I may not be remembering it correctly, but I do think the broad picture was, an animal can be told, you need to hit these buttons in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so the objective was for the animal to hit all of those in order, and they would get a treat. So it would only flash on for a second, and it would do these things, and it would do it amazing. We as people can't do that. We see numbers flash on the screen for a second, and it's very difficult for us to remember what numbers were there if we can do it in order.
Some people have a photogenic memory.
Some people do.
Some people could.
But it can't. The broad picture being it can be difficult for us to remember that.
But you could also learn if it's the same pattern every time. Is it different patterns?
That's what the testing was about. Can the animal learn to think freely on its own? When it was then tested after to think cognitively, it was a test with a banana. So somebody would come in with holding a banana, and then they would turn around, and another person would come into a room without a banana, and they would make it very obvious to the animal, the monkey specifically, or ape, or whatever, I don't know the difference, who had what. And so then the monkey would be able to decide who had the banana, and the majority of the time they got it right. But when somebody came in, they tested it again differently with a bucket on a head. Somebody would come in with a bucket on a head, no knowledge of the room, so they obviously can't see anything. And they would have no banana, and somebody would come in with a banana, drop it off, and then walk out. And then another person would come in. And so the monkey was then tested, who knows where the banana is, who has the banana, and he would go straight to the bucket, because they were in the room the whole time, like in the first test. Okay. May have that a little jumbled up, but the idea is that the monkey wasn't able to discern who was what based on common knowledge of the events that he had just witnessed. So he wasn't able to say that this person obviously doesn't know that there is no banana here because he has a bucket on his head the whole time. And the point of the video was basically, maybe the reason that they can remember so well and function and everything was not because they're unintelligent, but because they haven't developed the ability to communicate and think on their own. And that was the difference between us. And you could argue maybe that's evolution. That's us, we were unbelievably lucky in that we got here, and it's our purpose to continue to search and find more information and grow and understand. But I think all of us has that deep feeling inside of them that there's something more. And it's kind of our journey to fill that and understand what that is to us.
Where does all of that tie into God? I think you can have all of that without having the religious element.
That's where I don't agree, because I think the world around us is so unbelievably complex that it could not have happened by chance. I do not think for example, the positioning of the globe in relative to our solar system, we had been any closer, I'm talking, inches, feet, whatever, closer to the sun, it would have burned.
Do you know that the distance of the Earth changes throughout the solar system?
Yeah, of course. That's how we get the seasons, and that's rotation, right?
No, not just rotation. We get closer and further away from the sun throughout our orbit.
Yes.
So,
but our positioning being relative to the other planets around the world.
The Earth's not
flat.
Oh, man.
Hold on here now.
How did we not hit that? No.
So I just want to there is a thing called the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, that's what I was
and
going
we're searching
for
that in other.
That's one of the first.
But not just the Goldilocks, just having a gas giant like Jupiter to catch any asteroids from entering our orbit, and so early on.
Right.
I think, the way that worked and the way the animals are so complex and the way our mind works and all of our internal organisms and the stuff that we don't even understand, like why we have an appendix, and there's so many complex things.
Well, there is a reason.
Yeah, we do have a reason for it.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, it's a newer development, but yes, we do have a...
Oh, no, what's that then?
I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head. But,
part of science is understanding that we don't know things, and that doesn't mean there isn't an explanation.
Yeah, of course.
The conclusion of science...
we don't know the explanation yet.
That's the conclusion I came to, is that the world is too complex for me to understand in what is made up of in it.
So my question would be, what would get you to, I don't understand these things, therefore there's a God? Where does that come from?
Specifically because of what is taught in this and how I was raised.
But what if you were raised Muslim? Do you think that your perspective would just be like that's...
Well, let's make clear that it is the same God, Muslim God, and Yahweh is the same God.
It's not actually.
Which is true.
That it is.
They're
the God
different,
of Abraham.
They're different gods. They both have the same term. It's a common misconception, but each god has a completely different value and moral set.
No, it's the God of Abraham, Isaac, but not Jacob.
Right, but you can put that label on it, but it's still something different. Just like the Mormon God is a different God than the Judeo-Christian Protestant God.
Elohim is of a different name, but they do claim it is the same. Like, don't get me wrong, the whole theology is way different. Don't get me wrong, but Yahweh, Yahweh El, Elohim, they're all terms for the essentially the same God. But the Islam does follow the Abrahamic God.
So to hit back on that main point, it was not just through thought, just seeing that the world around me is too complex to be on its own. It was through action and seeing him in action. So when I had, I know we haven't hit on this yet, but around 2018, I was still interested in this, this person that ended up causing all these events. And one of the things that transpired is I had been interested in doing YouTube or something or other.
Okay.
And she's like,
cold porridge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. That is a trip. I'm going to have to delete the channel now.
It's out there now. Y'all better look at it before disappearing.
5 new subscribers.
Oh, geez. Tons of dislikes. Everybody dislike it, please. It was awful. It was,
the art was really cool.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very nice of you.
That pixel art.
One of the things that she said, though, is she didn't want to be with somebody who didn't have a stable job. She thought that was not good, and she didn't want to marry somebody like that. I'm like, whoa, okay, all right. So I immediately jumped ship, and I went to college. I started going to online college. And I'm like, I also want to do graphic design. And so I started working on a platform called Upwork. So I would do the way that works is basically people who are interested in having services done for them will post a job onto the platform, and other qualified, I think they call it professionals.
You're like an applicant and you bid on trying to get that position.
Yeah, you would get that job. So you would, send a proposal and, hi, I'm this, I've got this experience. You can see my work on my profile on the platform. I'd love to do business with you.
Then out of like 20 applicants, you might get that position.
Or
and you can see how
hundreds.
many people are applying too.
It's a very competitive space.
Yeah.
And so I was going to college online, and I was also trying to do all of this from home. And I did this for about a month, and I just got all the wind kicked out of me. Every job I would submit, I would get nothing, and
Yeah,
no matter
it's
what I
very
tried.
discouraging.
It's I'm sure you can attest. It's very difficult to get started on there. It's so difficult. And so I tried everything.
That's why I was so disappointed working at Veripax, because I was like, I want to do graphic design.
Yes, I want to do this. Let me do this.
I just need a chance.
And yeah, no, that was both a pain we shared.
Yeah.
And so I was defeated. I wanted to do this, but I didn't know this is the direction that God wanted me to go in. And so after about a month of submitting stuff and getting nothing, I'm like, all right, God, I want your will in my life. If this is the direction you want me to go, and please give me a very obvious sign. Just show me the way, the direction you want. If this is where you want me to go, send me a job, send me work, send me something clear. And Lord, if it be your will, do it in the hour. But if it is not, do not allow me to get any work, not only today, but for the rest of the time that I'm on this platform. Make it abundantly clear that I understand the direction you want me to go in. And so, having finished that prayer, I felt kind of a tug, just something inside saying, all right, you need to go do school for an hour specifically. And I'm like, okay. And so I did. I had sent proposals out that morning, and nothing had happened. And so I'm like, well, if God brings it to me in the hour, then awesome. But if not, whatever. And so I would do school. I kept writing, and I did all my assignments. And so I checked back at the hour mark, and I didn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty defeated until I turned on the Wi-Fi, because the Wi-Fi had went down.
Oh no.
And so when I did that, I came back and I saw that God had brought me the biggest job I had ever have, and it's still one of my biggest clients to this day. He not only answered the prayer that I had asked him, but he had done it in the hour. It was a really big artist out in New York, and she had been doing this podcast, and it was a huge sum of money that she wanted me to help produce this. Mm-hmm. And I got started that day, and I was just shaken, because to me that was an answer, an undeniable answer from there was no way that could have been a coincidence, that with my luck, having gotten nothing for a month, absolutely nothing for a month, and then with having asked a question, and then the span of an hour, I got this huge client that I'm like, wow, that's undeniable. There is somebody out there. There's a God of the universe, and he has listened to me and answered. And I was ecstatic. I got immediately down on my knees, and I thanked him, and I just thanked him, and I was really overcome with emotion.
Right.
And I still work with them today. They're amazing. She's done so much. She's done work for the BBC, the PBS, Discovery, Columbia Pictures. She's won tons of really well respected awards for her films. In fact, one of them ended up giving rape victims rights.
Are you willing to name drop?
Out of respect to her, not yet.
Okay.
I will be going on with her soon to be talking these things. Her podcast was really awesome. It was on. She interviewed different people from around the world, like the Dalai Lama. People of different faiths.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. She was incredible. So for me, it was not only an answer to my immediate need of work, but an answer to a spiritual need. Because as I learned and I watched these videos and I understood the faith from really the mouth of the source, I realized that what you were talking about earlier, that religion and every other religion is based on works. You have to do this. You have to empty yourself, and only when you become a good person can you achieve your religion's objective. And that's a very broad stroke, I understand. But even Christianity, it's sure, you can be saved by God, but you have to continually work. You have to do all these good things. You have to donate to charity. You have to follow his word. It is a nonstop, rigorous marathon to doing these things to hope that you can achieve salvation.
So can I give you my perspective?
Go for it. Yeah.
Everything you said, I agree with take the God out of the equation and make yourself responsible for all of it. And that is my spirituality kind of thing.
I'm not sure if I entirely agree with that either.
Like, my perspective on like collective works, trying to help people out, is this podcast and my artist appreciation series on Aggregate, and like just talking to people. I feel like personal responsibility for your life is undervalued, especially with people who are religious. They ascribe it to an external source. And I think by doing that, they don't acknowledge how much they have to deal with in their personal lives.
I'm going to say it's a little bit of a broad brush, but continue. Sorry.
No, I finished. Now you're going to counter it, right?
No. I'm sure we're actually pretty short on time. Would you, I want to tie this back in just because.
Yeah.
So would you call this like your Damascus Road experience?
Not yet.
Not yet, no?
Not yet. It was a moment that has still stuck with me.
I'm sorry, for the ignorant, can you explain what that means?
I was waiting for you to jump in there, Tyler. Okay, for those that don't know, Saul of Tarsus, who is Paul the Apostle, had his literally come to Jesus moment when Jesus came down to him, knocked him out for 3 days on the Damascus Road, and then he, from then on, was a Christian.
Believed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great illustration. That's part of it, but it was me realize that stood out to me. I'm like, all right, there is something there, whether it's God or something else. That's something there, and I don't think I can deny that. I don't think I can chalk that up to coincidence or lucky chances. So it was from that point on that I continued to, well, that stuck with me. That was the biggest thing. This was before I had my big oopsie with the girl and everything shattered. So looking back on it now, I can say I wasn't saved. I still had my intellectual faith, and yet God still heard me and listened to me. And that's still puzzling to me. I don't understand that. But to wrap things up real quickly, just to let you know where I'm at now. After months of prayer and study and trying to understand, it was one night that I'm like, God, I want to hear you. I want to understand what this is. I want to be your child. I want to have a relationship with you. And I know I haven't, and I've screwed up. And it was just a real deep pouring out of my heart and I want to know God. I want to have a relationship with that. And that was when I heard him speak to me saying, you are my child. You are with me. You are saved, and I love you. And in an undeniable way. It wasn't like there was writing on the wall or the earth shook. It was, I could hear. You
heard it or you felt it?
I could hear it in the sense that I would feel it. Like I could feel that voice and I heard it. It's very difficult to explain, but I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt that at that point I heard the God of the universe speak to me and give me confirmation.
It's so strange because I get what you mean, but like the whole like language interpretation is completely different.
Yes, I think a lot of this I've learned is a lot of my beliefs and whatnot is really chopped up to the cultural lens that I'm looking through all of this, and so trying to look at this without that is difficult.
I don't know, like a adjective. That's a very interesting phrase that you said. Like it's the cultural lens. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's just talk about one aspect of the Bible that says you're supposed to forgive your enemies.
That's why I asked, like, would you still believe the same thing if you were raised Muslim?
I'm not sure because I wasn't raised Muslim. All I know is that I was.
That is fair. That is fair.
Christian. And so to me, what Christianity is not a set of customs and rules that I must follow rigorously. It was a relationship with God. And to me, who is abundantly clear that he is real and he is living. And I make no claim that I understand all of the aspects of my faith. I don't. I'm happy and okay with saying that because I look forward to the journey of understanding what this is and what God has laid out before me. And I love experiencing, what other people have to say about it and their other perspectives and whatnot. But to me, this is undeniable that this is who I am, and that God has protected me through so many instances throughout my life in very bold ways, like the job that I mentioned recently. It's undeniable instances in my life where I've heard him and seen him work in my life. So that's kind of where I'm at.
So that's your personal evidence. So you that is
personal
enough to
evidence.
Not your Damascus Road experience
No.
per se, but it was enough to.
It's enough to say. And so my journey since then has been understanding really what a relationship with that looks like.
Final thoughts, or is there anything that you want to close with? Is there something maybe favorite Bible story?
I'm going to walk out of here and I'm like, that's what I should have said. It's always going to be that one thing.
Let's make it clear that this topic is not able to be covered in an hour.
No,
this is episode 4 probably.
There's so many things that I want to dive deeper into.
Because the problem is that, first of all, we just spent a whole lot of time on definitions. What do you mean by that? Because just to get there, before we even have the conversation, we have to understand definitions.
Where are you coming from?
And I would have I would have really loved the chance to have more open discussion about these things. Rather
we
than
can
me just talk.
It's really hard to cover everything in an hour.
Yeah, feel free to come back on.
Yeah, you can always come back on. Yeah.
I'm sorry it took so long.
Yeah, man. What, it was 2 years?
Yeah.
Slacker. Anyway.
I've been asking you. I just haven't actually scheduled it.
Yeah.
No, but I would say where I'm currently at is that I know I've screwed up so hard with so many things. And I know if I were to try and live life by really any other religion of doing it by works and, I have to do good things. I have to think this. I have to do this. I have to all that. I would probably kill myself. And I mean that literally because in the time that I spent before, having realized who I was in my faith, I was always in peaks and valleys. I couldn't figure out where my identity was. I would place it in the things of this world. And that's what God, I think, has showed me with all my past relationships. Because I've been very, very girlfriend relationship oriented. That's really where I found my identity, was a relationship with somebody where I could pour love and affection out to. Codependency, yeah.
I think that's why a lot of AA meetings inject that religious element to try to fill that void, because what you're really seeking is a
community,
connection to yourself and community and the world,
purpose. And understanding. And
that's
to
why
me, it felt something
that's
deeper.
the real reason for addiction, and I think a lot of people don't get that.
And that's actually a good tie-in with what we're talking about previously with animal morality as Rat Park.
Yes. I was thinking of that.
Yeah, Rat Park, if you're not aware, is they had the ability to either give the rats drugs, which they were freely and openly able to take from, or they can spend time and have a community.
Friends, yeah.
I remember this. Yes.
And
really interesting stuff.
Yeah, and they did choose, instead of the drugs, to be with people and
but
not
they
do the
did
drugs.
partake in drugs.
Yeah,
occasionally.
Occasionally, they did.
Oh, jeez.
But when they were left to their own devices, that was not their only thing they turned to.
So. To wrap that up, that's where I'm at. I realize I cannot do this on my own.
Okay.
And that
Gives you
what I
strength.
am going through with this religion is not because it is about me. It's because I feel like there is a God out there, and I want to serve and love and appreciate him, because that's all he has shown to me at every single step. I may not understand it. Like a child, I may not understand why my dad won't let me do this or this, but that doesn't mean that he's wrong or he is bad. It means he understands something that I do not, and he's looking out for me. And that's what I've come to is, all right, I believe in God, and I'm a proud Christian, and I love Jesus, and I love I love the Bible. I've found new vigor and joy in worshiping and singing and all these
Tyler.
What?
Tyler.
So we didn't make you an atheist?
Okay, real quick.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Real quick.
But I didn't make you a Christian?
I mean,
I was a
it
previous.
was a valiant effort.
All right.
So,
do
do
you think you have time
wanna
for one more thing? Or I was going to say,
Yeah.
I always love to bring up is...
So really dependent on how much time you feel like you have. We're at 3:40 right now.
I have all the way till 4, so...
Okay.
But like I said,
hear
one
your
thing
guys'
one thing I always like to bring up, I did this with the Mormon missionaries. My wife's family is LDS. My wife and I are both atheist. But when we'd go over there, they would have the missionaries over, and I'd like to talk with the missionaries. And now one thing I always like to ask them is there anything you've ever wanted to ask an atheist? let alone one that is outspoken and read in the Bible.
That is an interesting question. I guess if I were to have,
You can always think
Ask
about it.
Did anything occur to you to ask prior to this? Like, because you've known that Ryan's an atheist the whole time.
no,
like we
yeah,
prefaced with that.
I know. I think the vast majority of atheists are great people because they think, and if they ever bite
Ooh, let me stop you right there. There's a lot of
Yeah,
there are
that's partially why I don't associate myself.
there are atheists out there who are very religious about their atheism,
Yes.
and that's a whole different religion.
That's a categorical error, but we're not
Yeah.
going to go into that.
Yeah, no. I get it.
That's their tribe now.
The idea in atheism is to believe that Actually, I should probably let you define that.
So I make it very, very simple, and honestly, this is the only thing I believe atheism can claim. Break it down. I've said this multiple times on the podcast. Not of. Theism, a belief in a deity, spirituality, etc. Not necessarily because there are atheistic religions such as Buddhism. Buddhism does not have claim to a god. So does Taoism, all the other ones. So atheism, not a belief in a deity. That's the only claim it makes. Everything else is something else. So you can ascribe, for example, a Buddhist is an atheist, but they believe in a spirituality and their whole, trying to get to nirvana. And everything
Which is
like
where that's where I agree with that whole perspective, those teachings and
Right.
those kinds of spiritual elements.
Yeah, but that's all I've ever said atheism is. It is nothing more. It is only that. That's all it is. And honestly, when you break it down, if you look at the way words work, I mean, asymmetrical is not a circle. So atheist is not theistic. So.
No, I like that. That's a really, really great way to really break that all down.
Yeah. So.
But I guess to answer that question, I'm not entirely sure.
Well, you can always come back and whatnot, and even to message us. So.
Yeah.
Love to, yeah.
Like I said, this is not a topic you can cover in an hour. Not even remotely close.
No, this is probably like
I'm on multiple years with some people, and it's not.
hour 5.
I mean, categorically, I would say a very new believer. So there's still a lot I could say that was very wrong.
6 months about what
so,
was that?
I mean, I grew up in the Christian household,
Right.
so I've been associated with it. But
Well,
I
you
never
didn't
really
start
looked at
taking it seriously
until January of
Okay,
this year.
okay.
And even at that point, I've had lows where I haven't even touched this thing.
Where are you at
Because-
currently?
Well, I'll be straight with you. I haven't been reading or praying because I've been doing my own business, and so I've found that that's where my identity is in the bank account, is in the customer happiness, is in the work. And so I've mounted myself back on the throne of this is where I find my importance and value and strength at. And every step of the way, though, I felt very empty and constantly trying to fill my head with sound and noise and not address it.
I have a deep question that I don't know if we have enough time for.
boy.
But like,
Please ask it.
it's the identity aspect that you keep bringing it back to. I don't view my identity as being spiritual, like that's an aspect, but the concept of identity I feel like is so much more complex than just what religion you're associated to or what political belief you have or even who you're dating or like any of that. It's just like I'll never know who you are as an individual because your identity is so complex, but I'll know you.
Yeah, you would have to be the one in order to understand. I get what you mean by that, but I get where he comes from. I think it's more. Is it fair to say that you're talking about like someone's personality almost?
Not so much, but where they find strength and value from. That's what I would say.
Purpose.
Values. Okay.
Yeah, not personality. Like I could.
Values is a good word.
Where you find your strength and hope in. What you find your strength.
What
and
you
hope
find
in.
purpose in is
Purpose.
what you align yourself with.
That's another way.
Is that not the same thing as what you value?
I mean, yes, the Venn diagram.
Values could also be what you think is right and wrong, or what I think this is good or bad, but it's not so much where.
Before we get into
fucking
those
language, man.
before we get into
English
those,
is hard.
before we get into the deep subjects, that will have to come on another time. Here.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to
we'll
do
be
this
starting
again.
wrapping up here. All right, perfect. This has been your thoughts, and This has been Josh.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Fun.
Thank you for coming
We have
on.
to continue.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
Have to continue.
Do Religion with Ryan Part 7, and you'll be on.
I mean, to be fair, this is still technically Religion with Ryan.
In a way.
All right,
All
perfect.
right, thank you for being on, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Katie, for manning the
Thank
camera.
you, Katie. A little bow. And thank you, Josh, for coming in.
To find more episodes. Oh, actually, do you have a plug? Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, if you want to see some of the work I've done as a graphic designer, trifinitydesign.com, TRIFINITY design, DESIGN.com. So you're going to find a little bit about me and what I do and my work. But yeah, that's about it.
Do you want to plug Veripax too? Your parents would be proud.
You can Google Veripax if you can figure out how to spell it.
There you go. I'm going to leave the ball in your court.
There you go.
I love it. All right. To find more episodes of Your Thoughts podcast, you can find us on all streaming platforms. You also have the video element on YouTube. We put a lot of time into the video element, so please watch our episodes. Like and subscribe, share us around. We've also got a Patreon. Ryan is a valiant supporter.
That's
of
why I'm a
our
co-host.
podcast.
If you pay enough, you get to become a co-host.
You could be on.
What?
Or we could just do like a Skype kind of conversation. I did that with Ian. He's also another supporter. Yeah, I'd love to do that. We've got a website, yourthoughtspodcast.com. Check us out.
All right.
Hasta la pasta.